My family said I was too negative to come to Thanksgiving. It's about gratitude, and you kill the vibe. The next day, I got a Venmo request, $7.80, groceries plus wine. I sent nothing. I just canceled my grocery delivery login, locked their family plan, and flagged every order linked to my card. 48 hours later, my aunt texted, "Did our Netflix just die? What's going on?" I found out I wasn't invited to Thanksgiving through a group text I wasn't even part of. My sister Rachel sent me a screenshot. Mom had posted in the family chat something like, "Let's keep this year light and positive. Kyle's negativity tends to drain the room. Maybe it's better if it's just us." The way she worded it made it sound like she was reluctantly excluding me for the greater good, like she was sacrificing her own comfort for the spiritual health of the turkey. Rachel added a thumbs-up emoji. That was it. No commentary, no defense, just a quiet confirmation that once again I was the problem. I stared at the message for a while, not angry yet, just stunned at how casually they could do that. I hadn't even spoken to anyone in that group for a month. I'd been working, keeping to myself, sending over money when they asked. Never once did I ask for anything in return. Then came the kicker. The next morning, I woke up to a Venmo request from my brother Matt. $780. The note read, "Groceries plus wine. For everyone." Smiley face. That last part made me laugh. For everyone. They didn't even try to sugarcoat it. Just to be clear, when I say I helped them out financially, I mean I've been covering the gaps for years. The family phone plan was under my name. Netflix, Spotify, Amazon, the Wi-Fi at their house, all linked to my card. I even paid for Mom's gas for a while through an app. They'd gotten used to it. Entitled even. The funny thing is I never minded helping when I started. We didn't grow up with much. Our house was the kind where you had to shake the TV to get it working and tape the microwave door shut. Mom worked 2 jobs when I was in high school. Dad was barely around. I used to promise myself that if I ever made real money, I'd make things easier for them. And I did. I worked my ass off, lived cheap, stayed focused. I wasn't some genius. I just showed up every day. $4,000 a month isn't flashy, but for where we came from, it was solid. What bothered me wasn't the money. It was the disrespect. They cut me out of Thanksgiving. Literally said I ruined the mood and then turned around and asked for almost $800 like I was a vending machine that ran on emotional neglect. So I didn't respond. I didn't argue. I just acted. First, I canceled the Whole Foods delivery scheduled for the morning of Thanksgiving. That hit fast. Then, I logged into the phone account and suspended all the lines but mine. I flagged my cards on every service they were using. Netflix, Disney+, Hulu, Spotify. I unlined my payment method from DoorDash and Uber Eats. I went into Amazon and marked every saved address that wasn't mine as suspicious activity. It took me about 20 minutes to erase myself from their lives financially. I didn't feel bad. I felt like I should have done it sooner. 48 hours later, the messages started trickling in. The first was from my Aunt Karen. "Is our Netflix broken? What's going on?" She always noticed tech problems first. I ignored it. Then Rachel tried calling. I didn't pick up. Then Matt sent a new message on Venmo. "Hey man, did you see the request? Everyone's waiting." Everyone like I was the waiter in some invisible restaurant and they were just deciding which wine to pair with the audacity. Then came Mom. 2 missed calls in one night after months of silence. I stared at the screen as it rang and didn't even consider answering. She'd spoken her truth. I was unwelcome, unpleasant, and unworthy of sitting at their table. Fine. Then she could pay for her own damn groceries. They weren't used to consequences. Not from me. And that's when things really started to unravel. The group chat revived itself on a Sunday afternoon, 3 days after Thanksgiving. Not the original one I wasn't invited to. This was a fresh creation. Rachel started it. The new title was, "Let's Talk Like Adults," which was already ironic considering they'd spent the holiday pretending I didn't exist. First message came from Mom. "Kyle, we need to talk about the phone situation. I can't make calls and neither can your dad. It's unsafe." Then Matt, "Hey man, Netflix, Spotify, Wi-Fi, everything's down. You could have just said you were mad. I didn't say anything at first. Just stared at the screen, debating whether I should even waste the energy. Then I wrote, "I'm not your bank." Rachel sent back a whole wall of text, something about how this isn't how families should behave and how I had humiliated them during a time that's supposed to be about love and togetherness. She ended it with, "We all depend on each other, Kyle. You're not the only one carrying things." I had to reread that part. Not the only one. I'd love to see the math on that. A couple of hours later, the calls started from unknown numbers. I ignored them until one came through that I recognized. A local number from my hometown. I answered out of morbid curiosity. It was Dad. He sounded like he hadn't aged a day, even though I knew that wasn't true. Same tone he used when I was 14 and he needed me to help him fix the car he refused to take to a mechanic. Heard there were some misunderstandings and that he wanted to have a quick man-to-man. I let him speak for about 10 seconds before I told him I wasn't in the mood for catch-up. He started saying something about setting a better example for Matt, and I ended the call. They weren't used to being ignored. They were used to me swallowing it. I'd been doing it for years. They'd say things like I was difficult or too intense while I quietly paid their internet bill. I was the safety net they never acknowledged until it snapped. That week was a slow-motion collapse. First, their Netflix profiles disappeared. Matt messaged Rachel asking if she had a backup account. She didn't. Then came the Wi-Fi issue. Mom posted on Facebook asking if anyone had a router to spare. Said theirs was acting up. Then someone tried to log into my old bank app. I got an alert. It had come from their zip code. Probably thought I'd forgotten to change the passwords. The funniest moment came when my aunt, the same one who texted me about Netflix, posted a picture of their Thanksgiving dinner. It was 2 rotisserie chickens from the grocery store and box stuffing. She captioned it, "Simple and sweet, just how we like it." Rachel commented, "So cozy," with a heart emoji. I didn't bother saying anything, but I knew they were all furious under the smiley faces and filters. Then Rachel sent a voice message. I didn't play at all. Just heard the beginning. "Mom cried last night. You really heard her, Kyle. This isn't you." I stopped listening after that because it was me. Just not the version they were used to. I used to give quietly. Now I was withholding with the same silence. And that silence was louder than anything I could have shouted. By the time December rolled in, they were starting to panic. It had been over a week since I'd shut it all down. No groceries arriving on the porch. No autopay smoothing over their messes. No streaming services buffering quietly in the background. What I'd done wasn't dramatic. It was surgical, clean, and they didn't know how to live without it. Rachel was the first to shift strategies. She dropped the concerned sister act and tried small talk. She sent a meme about the cold weather, then a blurry selfie with her dog wearing a little red sweater. Then she hit me with a "look who got arrested" LOL message. Some guy from our high school who had been caught stealing copper wiring or something. The kind of messages she'd normally send when she wanted me to remember that we were siblings and not just adults who grew up in the same house. But I knew that move. I'd seen it before. It always came right before she asked for something. This time, though, the ask never came. Not directly. She was trying the long game. Keep the door open. Stay friendly and hope I'd come around. I didn't reply to anything. No need. She knew why the silence was there. Matt didn't bother with subtlety. He sent me a text on Tuesday that read, "Bro, I'm $300 short on rent. Can you help me out? I'll pay you back Friday." I didn't even bother to laugh. Matt's Fridays had been coming and going unpaid for 6 years. I left him on read the next morning. You could have just said no instead of freezing everyone out. This is messed up. That one I didn't even open. I knew what it said before the preview finished loading. In his world, setting boundaries was the same thing as starting a war. Then out of nowhere, I got an email from Mom. Subject, "We need to talk." She always used email when she wanted to make something sound more civilized. Like we were coworkers. It was 3 long paragraphs filled with polished guilt. She said things like, "You've made your point, and I raised you better than this, and this isn't what family is supposed to look like." Her tone was calm, but every word was loaded. She made it sound like I was the one who broke something sacred. What she didn't say, what none of them ever said was, "Thank you." For the groceries, the phones, the Christmas flights, the utility bills, the birthdays, the sudden emergencies that only ever happened to them. No one ever thanked me. They just expected it like it was my job to earn and their job to need. That night I checked Venmo. Matt had sent another request. $52.34. No message. A few hours later, Rachel sent one, too. $11.99. Hulu. It was so ridiculous. I had to laugh. They still hadn't gotten it. I declined both. No note. Just a quiet, simple no. That same night, Rachel posted an old Christmas photo on Instagram. Me, her, Matt, all in matching pajamas from some year when we were still pretending to be close. Mom and Dad in the background caught mid-laugh like they were remembering how to be a family. Her caption was pure bait. Some people forget what family means, but I never will. The comments were a stream of hearts and so cute-s from her friends. I didn't say anything. I didn't even click on it, but I did send her something else. A Venmo request, $500 reimbursement, Christmas gifts 2023. She declined it. 2 minutes later, I was blocked. Perfect. That was the thing. They didn't want a family. They wanted funding. And they just lost the only person who'd been dumb enough to keep paying for it. By mid-December, the silence between us had turned into something heavier. It wasn't tension anymore. It was something worse. Acceptance. The kind that creeps in when people realize they've pushed a good thing too far and there's no rewind button. Nobody called. Nobody asked me for money again. They'd stopped trying to manipulate their way back in. But they hadn't apologized either. Not even close. What they did instead was start to quietly clean up the mess. I found out through a friend from my hometown who messaged me on Instagram. "Dude, is everything all right with your parents? Your mom's listing like half the house on Facebook Marketplace." I checked. She was right. The treadmill I bought them last Christmas was listed for $120. The blender I shipped to her 2 birthdays ago, $135. Even the faux leather love seat from the guest room, the one I helped them pick out during a visit 2 years ago, was on there. Gently used pickup only. That's when it hit me. They were liquidating, not downsizing, not spring cleaning, liquidating, and not once had they said a word. 2 days later, a small package showed up at my place. No return address. Inside was a cheap Christmas card, one of those generic ones with glitter that flakes off into your rug. Inside was exactly $500 in 20s, folded neatly, and a note that read, "We don't want your money. We want our son. Love, Mom and Dad." It was like watching someone hold up a white flag made out of the same material they used to tie you up. I didn't touch the money. I left it on my kitchen counter for 2 days while I thought about what kind of game they were playing. Because here's the thing. I knew they didn't have $500 just lying around. That was probably the treadmill and maybe the love seat, possibly the blender, too. And suddenly the meaning of that message flipped. It wasn't generosity. It wasn't love. It was strategy, a calculated sacrifice to win me back. Because if they couldn't guilt me, maybe they could impress me with an unexpected gesture. So, I took the cash, slid it back into the envelope, added Matt's address on it, and dropped it in the mailbox. No message, no explanation. Let them figure out what to do with their refund. A few nights later, Rachel posted another vintage photo. This time it was from a summer camping trip when we were kids. Matt and I were covered in dirt, roasting marshmallows. Our dad was somewhere in the background fiddling with the broken tent pole. She captioned it, "Back when we were all together." The likes rolled in comments from people who hadn't talked to us in years. Stuff like, "Family is everything," and "Miss those days." I didn't respond. I didn't even open the comments. But I saw the pattern. They weren't trying to fix anything. They were trying to rewrite it. In their version of the story, I was the one who walked away. I was the one who chose pride over peace. They were turning it into some quiet tragedy. Like they had no idea how things got this way. So I gave them what they wanted. I opened my bank app and transferred exactly $500 to my parents' joint account. Then, I sent a message, not through Rachel, not through Matt, directly to my mother's phone because I knew she still had the old number saved. "This is the last time. Don't contact me unless it's not about money." The message was read within minutes. No reply. Not that night. Not the next day, not ever. That silence, it was the cleanest sound I'd heard in years. The silence held for nearly 3 weeks. Then out of nowhere came the knock. It was Saturday morning. I hadn't showered yet, hadn't checked my phone. I wasn't expecting a delivery and I never got visitors. I looked through the peephole and froze. It was my dad, not angry, not trying to look emotional. Just standing there with a brown paper grocery bag and the same awkward stiffness he carried when I was a kid and needed to say something serious, but didn't know how. He looked smaller than I remembered, thinner. His shoulders slightly slouched like someone who had finally realized the weight he carried wasn't just from age. I opened the door halfway. He held out the bag. Said Mom had cooked something. Lasagna, he thought. Maybe banana bread, too. She wanted me to have it. No speech, no guilt, just that. I didn't move to take it. Then he said it soft, almost like it was a mistake. She's thinking about leaving. I blinked. Leaving what? Leaving me the house. This whole thing. He looked tired, the kind of tired that doesn't come from one fight or one bad month, but from years of coasting on things that never worked. Said she'd been talking to her sister in Michigan, looking at jobs online. Told him she was tired of pretending we were a family when clearly we weren't. He said she sat up until 3 a.m. the other night, going through photos, cleaning out closets, and muttering to herself about what she should have done differently. That's when I took the bag. Not because I believed any of it. Not yet. But because I needed a second to think. He didn't ask to come in. Didn't try to sit down or say anything else. Just nodded once and walked back down the hallway. Quiet, like he knew showing up had been risky and was already regretting it. Inside the bag was her lasagna, the one she used to make when we were kids. And we had nothing in the fridge but tomato paste and a box of pasta and a loaf of banana bread wrapped in foil. No note, no explanation. I set it in the fridge and stared at it like it might detonate. That night, Rachel texted me. Did Dad stop by? I didn't answer. 10 minutes later, Matt messaged. You know about Mom's plan, right? Nope. Still nothing from me. Then the next morning, I woke up to a missed call from a Michigan number and a voicemail from my mom. Her voice was calm but shaky. She said she didn't expect a response. Just wanted me to know she was applying for work near her sister's place and that if she did go, she didn't want to leave without at least trying to make peace. Not fix, not undo, just try. And then she said, I know it doesn't mean much right now, but I'm sorry, Kyle, for the way we lean on you, for acting like it was your job to carry us. I think we all just got used to you doing what none of us were willing to do. That part did something to me. I didn't cry. I didn't call her back. But I sat there in silence for almost an hour, just thinking. It was the first honest sentence anyone in my family had said to me in years. I still didn't reply, but I didn't delete the voicemail either. Christmas came and went without a word from me. I didn't call. I didn't send gifts. I didn't even check social media. Rachel posted a photo of a half-decorated tree with the caption, Quiet Christmas this year. Not everyone shows up and that's okay. Passive-aggressive and obviously directed at me. M commented, Families, what you make of it? Which was rich coming from someone who once tried to Venmo me $849 for his haircut because Mom said you'd cover it. Then came the call. Not to me, of course. To my boss. I was sitting at my desk reviewing quarterly numbers when he came over scratching the back of his neck. Told me someone had called asking for employment verification and left a message claiming to be my landlord. Except I don't have a landlord. I own my condo. I asked if he still had the number. He did. Michigan area code. I called it. It was Rachel. I didn't even have to say anything. The second she picked up, she started talking like she'd been caught stealing from a store, but thought if she explained fast enough, the alarm would shut off. Said she was trying to help Mom figure out what kind of support she might qualify for if she moved. Said they needed proof of my income so they could list me as a potential cosigner just in case. I hung up immediately. 10 minutes later, a text from her. You don't have to be so dramatic. We were just checking. Nothing's been signed. I stared at it for a long time. Not angry. Not even shocked. Just amazed at how little had changed under all the apologies and silences. They still thought I was the fallback plan. Still thought they had access to pieces of my life just because we shared blood and a childhood full of broken microwaves and secondhand sweaters. Then late that night, I got an email from a name I didn't recognize. It was from a woman named Andrea. Said she was my mom's coworker at a temp office near Detroit. She wanted to apologize for everything that had happened at the interview. I scrolled down. Andrea had accidentally attached a photo. My mom sitting across a desk, her face red, hands clasped tightly, eyes slightly puffy. According to Andrea, the interview had been going fine until my mom listed me as her financial safety net. Literally called me her unofficial provider. Said that if the job didn't work out, she had a son who could cover her bills for a few months. She said it like I was an ATM she hadn't finished using yet. I didn't respond to Andrea. It wasn't her fault. But I did reply to Rachel. One sentence. If anyone mentions my name in a job application again, I'll consider it identity fraud. No response. I didn't expect one. What I didn't see coming was what happened 3 days later. I got a letter in the mail, handwritten, no return address, but the handwriting was my mom's. Inside was a check for $500 and a note. Consider this a start. We're not owed your help. I see that now. But what stood out wasn't the money or the apology. It was the PS. If I go, I'm going alone. There was no mention of Dad, of Rachel, of Matt, just her. And for the first time, I didn't know what I wanted her to do because this time, the silence felt like a question I wasn't sure how to answer. I stared at that PS over and over again. If I go, I'm going alone. No Rachel, no Matt, no Dad, just her. That sentence echoed louder than anything she'd said in months. And for the first time, it didn't feel like a ploy. It felt like someone trying to escape their own story. I didn't reply. I didn't cash the check either. I kept it in the envelope tucked in a drawer with receipts I never look at. Not because I was trying to hold it over her, but because I didn't know what to do with it. I still don't. The next update came not from my family, but from my dad. He texted me. That alone was strange enough. All it said was, "She's gone." I called. She'd moved, packed a single suitcase and took a bus to Michigan. Didn't tell anyone, but left a note for him on the kitchen table. No goodbye, no dramatic scene, just I need to be a person again. My dad sounded empty, not angry, not grieving, just stunned. Like a man who finally realized that silence isn't the same as peace. Rachel tried calling me 2 days later. I didn't pick up. Then Matt left a voice message that sounded more confused than anything. So what? She just left? Like for real? Yeah, for real. None of them knew what to do without her. She'd always been the center. Not because she was nurturing or endlessly kind, but because she was the one who held the dysfunctional machine together with duct tape and passive-aggressive text messages. Now the machine had no center, just a few disconnected parts trying to spin on their own. Weeks passed. Then came a letter, Michigan postmark. Her handwriting. She said she got a part-time job at a small clinic. Said she walks to work. Said she eats dinner alone but doesn't mind it. Said she's not lonely, just quiet. And then she wrote something I'll never forget. I'm not writing to fix us. I just want you to know I'm finally trying to fix myself. I folded the letter and set it down next to her check. Felt like the end of something. Not a sad end, just a true one. Rachel and Matt still talk. They post photos of each other now, comment on each other's stories. I think they're trying to build something without Mom propping them up. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. I'm not part of it either way. My dad hasn't reached out again. Not since the text.